Check in on Bitcoin, MSTR, crypto. There are some bearish patterns that are shaping up. We need to be watching for the potential of weekly consolidation, and I'll show you how my brain works when I'm looking at those patterns. Before we get to the charts, we're running a free trial on our Chart Guys membership, access to the chat room, daily live streams, additional educational content, and all that good stuff. Posting the link in the chat room and in the comments of the video. Free trial. Might as well check it out. All right. So here we've got Bitcoin, and let's just remove this taskbar. So Bitcoin is testing daily support. We had a daily bull flag confirm with no follow through. Whenever a flag confirms with no follow through, that instantly means keep an eye out for exhaustion. Doesn't mean it has to follow through, but it means, okay, we might be shaping up a rising wedge. Rising wedge by definition is a bull break with a lack of follow through. Falling wedge, bear breaks with a lack of follow through. So what we're watching is our base of support, pretty much this zone from 91.6 to 93. We've held that now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little tests while we were trading sideways, creating that bull flag. And we're trying to hold it again. Now we look at this and say, okay, well, if this support holds again, we have to be cautious. Again, bull glasses and then bear glasses. So bull glasses, if we hold this support, we're still in a daily uptrend. We're still holding daily EMA 12. The bulls are keeping full control of the trend. That's great. But I put on my bear glasses and remind myself, okay, if this is going to lead into weekly consolidation, reminding myself we came straight off the lows. We have not confirmed a weekly trend change yet. We will have to do that eventually at some point if the bulls are going to be real confident in a monthly bull flag shaping up. So if weekly consolidation is going to shape up, what would it look like? Well, it would likely be a little head and shoulders. Let's say we hold this support zone and then we bounce but fail the high and then we roll over. That's something that bulls need to be cautious of. It's potentially shaping up. So that's what we're going to be watching for the rest of the week. We got the FOMC tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. There's a 97% chance that nothing's going to change, which means the volatility is going to come during the press conference at 2:30 and the forward-looking statements from Powell. The markets are going to react. If we look at the 4-hour, clear downtrend, rejecting from EMA 12 the last bunch of attempts, have to change the 4-hour trend if we're going to see that daily bounce take shape. So bulls are going to be hoping for some kind of perhaps a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders. If we fail resistance of 95.2, got to hold the low and then confirm that trend change. And burdens on bulls in the short term here. The NASDAQ has started some daily consolidation, nothing meaningful. The information that I'm looking for on the NASDAQ, are we still trading in a bullish environment where hourly oversold marks the daily high or low? This was hourly oversold. That was the daily high or low. This morning, hourly oversold. Can bulls confirm an hourly uptrend again to try and have it mark another daily high or low? Definitely keeping an eye on the broader market for sentiment reasons. But at this point, yes, daily consolidation, but certainly no red flags on the daily consolidation at this point. We also have to keep an eye on gold. We've been fairly inverse. Again, I've shown bigger picture how we've been inverse gold and Bitcoin for a couple of years on the long-term time frames. We're seeing it now in the short-term time frames as well. It's not always that way. There's periods where it is, then it fades, but very clearly we set a weekly high or low on gold. We've had a big 2-day bounce. We've been bouncing for 3 days. How many days have Bitcoin been pulling back for? The last few days, Bitcoin clearly pulling back, gold clearly going up. So the question is gold heading back to continue all-time highs? If it does, that for me slightly increases probabilities that Bitcoin's going to see weekly consolidation. Again, nothing has to happen. Bitcoin doesn't have to pull back because gold is hitting a new all-time high. But the relationship has been present enough that it is worth paying attention to. And again, if I'm long Bitcoin, I'm long both because there's no reason not to be when both have strong trends. But if I'm only long Bitcoin, I want to see gold break the support that we just established and put in a longer term top. Because again, every significant leg up that Bitcoin has seen over the last year and a half has been during gold consolidation on the longer term timeframes. MSTR, daily consolidation healthy at this point, still a potential bull flag. I bought, as I mentioned, some MSTY, putting it in account looking for some dividends. And now I'm getting bombarded on social media with this argument about MSTR versus MSTY. And I'm so sick of this argument. I don't care at all. I'm just they're two different instruments. You're either wanting cash flow or you're not. It's not which is going up more. It's what is the purpose of your position. So anyways, at this point, an important note when you run this hard, I think my entry was back here at some point. You should never let a trade that you have that kind of green in turn red. Worst case scenario, I'm going to stop out break even. And I've given back, I get back moves plenty of times where I'm trying to let a longer term move play out and it doesn't and I stop out. But what a lot of newer traders will do is have a really solid green position, give back all of those gains and say, oh, I had this much. I got to wait till it gets back and then I'll sell. And then next thing you know, now you're red. So whenever a trade works in my favor, a fairly significant amount of follow through, I will never let that trade turn red. And I highly suggest you adopt the same kind. I mean, there's nothing more psychologically tormenting than having a big green trade. Now you're bag holding and in the red, thinking back to how good times used to be when it was green. So I forgot to put up ETH. That tells you the status of ETH. I'm watching this ETH 12-hour channel. Nothing's really changing here. We're testing support now. Bulls are going to try and defend it. I've been watching a Litecoin 12-hour channel. Looks like that broke bear. That was a nice 12-hour head and shoulders bear break. But again, for ETHBTC, volatility is coming here, and it's potentially on a bear break. We're testing support right now. So ETH has to hold that 12-hour channel support, and ETHBTC needs to hold this sideways support. Otherwise, we're heading back down towards those recent lows as ETH continues to be very weak. So some of the bear patterns that we're keeping an eye on, started watching for them on Saturday over the weekend. Because why? Well, we know alts have been going up for about 4 weeks. We know many alts, and Bitcoin included, have not confirmed a weekly uptrend yet. So starting to watch daily rising wedges because I'm seeing them on a number of names. So others contributing, some rising wedges to be keeping an eye on. CRV was one that clearly stood out to me. Drew it as we were testing the 70s resistance, fell back under it, closed right on it, and then rolled over. Oftentimes you will see wedges turn into head and shoulders or inverse head and shoulders. And so that's the case right now. This is a rising wedge. It confirmed and broke bear. Okay, I can stop watching it. Now I look at the support. This was the last daily support, high or low. Same thing as Bitcoin, where if that holds, we'll be watching for the possibility that it's shaping up a head and shoulders. So key daily support in play for CRV at 62 cents. Again, if it breaks, if we lose the daily support, weekly consolidation is back underway for a lot of these altcoins. RNDR was another one. Drew this rising wedge, breaks bear. Now we're testing daily support. So I can remove the wedge. I'm watching the horizontal. If we bounce off of this level, we're scouting a daily head and shoulders. Bears are scouting a daily lower high. Other ones, Fart Coin was one. Haven't checked in on this one in a while. So yeah, we could say it confirmed, but again, if you're confirming it is one thing, but if you're going to follow through, you've got to start confirming trends. So bears need to confirm daily downtrends. Same thing, potential head and shoulders. You can have a 5-minute rising wedge looking for an hourly lower high, and it confirms, but it just sets a 15-minute high or low and doesn't get much follow through. So you always got to stay on top of it. Confirming the pattern isn't, I'm home free. It's okay, I've got some breathing room if you're short, but bears do still have to follow through. So that's where we're at for a lot of these names. XRP was another one that was a rising wedge. I think I talked about this one in the last video. If not, it was on Thursday guest spot, but bear break. And weekly consolidation is underway here. So some names have started weekly consolidation. The hopes and dreams for the XRP bulls is that this is a weekly inverse head and shoulders for the monthly higher low. And because of the bounces a lot of these alts have seen on the weekly time frame, we will be scouting weekly higher lows to be the result of this pullback. Again, only a handful of names have started this weekly consolidation. We're watching for everybody, including Bitcoin, to potentially get it going. But we don't have it underway just yet. And in my opinion, you got to see the NASDAQ give us more than something that's just healthy daily consolidation if we're going to see clear weekly consolidation in the crypto space. All right. BNB. BNB is boring, right? Why do we want to watch something that's boring and constricting in volatility? Because we know when this tightening range breaks, there's going to be a spike in volume and a spike in volatility. So again, we just got to give ourselves the conveyor belt of trades. I know I'm not interested in trading Binance today or tomorrow, but I know that sometime in May, and if not in May, then certainly in June, I'm going to be interested in Binance because it's going to break this tightening range. I've got setups I'm watching on the hourly. I know I'm watching that today, and I'm speaking stocks and crypto. I got setups I'm watching on the daily. I know it's potentially going to take place this week. I've got setups on the weekly. It's going to take place this month. It determines where my focus is. I'm looking for a lot of weekly higher lows in the stock world. Gold and miners had weekly consolidation already underway. They were at the top of my list looking long this week, and I got a nice entry on GDX. The other names I'm watching have not even started weekly consolidation, so I gave them no attention. I'm not going to, waste my opportunity cost of my brain power watching things where the setup's not close yet. I'm focusing on the things, okay, the setup's coming to me. It's already underway. I know that it's going to take place sooner. So that's just one suggestion of how you organize. It's so overwhelming. How do I know what to look at? What setups? That's one way to help organize your attention span. HBAR, did someone ask for? HBAR. Weekly consolidation already underway. So again, a way that we can distinguish altcoins who's got weekly consolidation underway and who doesn't yet. So now we need a weekly higher low and a trend change to bulls if we're going to have confidence that a longer term bottom is in. And if we're going to see any sign of any kind of alt season with the dominance chart getting weekly consolidation, that these have to confirm bullish. So what do we need for a weekly higher low to be set? The daily trend is our guide. Okay, we have a clear daily downtrend. So now I watch the daily chart for some kind of setup that tells me a weekly higher low is being set. I'm watching for a daily falling wedge, a daily inverse head and shoulders, a big enough daily bounce where a daily higher low is then the most likely scenario. Those are the things that I'm scouting for when I have conviction in a most likely scenario on a longer term time frame. So HBAR, anything under 19.2 is just a daily lower high. Is a potential falling wedge? I don't have enough information. If we started a 12-hour bounce from here, I would start to keep an eye on that possibility. Again, I don't have high conviction at all at this point that it is, but if the 12-hour bounce gets going from here, I would start watching, even if it's just a channel, more of a channel than a wedge, but could be a good little visual guide. And then this 12-hour channel breaking bull would be the first sign that a potential weekly higher low is being set. How about entries? The most aggressive bulls are just scaling into the pullback. I don't like that style, especially because we're not in an uptrend on the longer term time frames. If we're in blue sky breakout and we're looking for a weekly higher low, scaling into the weekly consolidation, much more forgiving than doing it here. A patient bull is waiting for a statement where they can say, something happens on the chart where they can say, that's either the weekly higher low or I'm wrong. And you use that level as a stop. We can't use the low as a stop. That's way too far away. The risk reward is terrible. I can't wait for that level to let me know that I'm wrong. I need to be told that I'm wrong way sooner than that. So I watch for something to shape up where I can say that's either the weekly higher low or I'm wrong, and that becomes the level that I'm playing off of. To determine a bull flag is no longer a bull flag anymore, such as breaking EMA. How to determine if a bull flag is no longer a bull flag anymore. So the video that we have for this on YouTube would be Chart Guy's Fibonacci. Google that, and that helps determine. But the answer is retracement size. As soon as you're over 382 retracement size on our fibs, then it's no longer, anything above that is a bull flag to be watching for. I call this the gray area because it can still be a bull flag. It's not as ideal because the retracement is closer to 50%. You ideally want to hold 382, but once you exceed 50%, that's when it becomes the less likely scenario that it's a bull flag. And also the way the price acts. Look at QQQ today. QQQ is a 15-minute bull flag. A news headline helped it, but look at how the price is reacting here. So we've got a low of support on 5-minute consolidation at 481.80. We break that level by 5 pennies right into a new high of the day. Then we break that level by 5 pennies right into a little bounce. Then we break that level by another few pennies right into a headline bounce. My point is, if every break of support sees no follow through, depending on where it happens on a chart, it could be a falling wedge if it's at the bottom of a downtrend. But if it's after a bull move and every short-term break of support lacks follow through, that's the price action that's indicative of a potential flag. Doge at 3 a.m. my time. So daily downtrend confirmed. Weekly consolidation underway. Has to be a weekly inverse head and shoulders or bulls don't do anything. 3 a.m. my time. Would I go short? I mean, there's a clear resistance rejection. If you're shorting there, you're an aggressive bear. Nothing wrong with that. We failed resistance and then rolled over and broke support. So you could justify it, a day trade going with the hourly trend. Here was another example where we rejected from hourly resistance and rolled over. So bears are defending short-term resistances. My style would be, if I'm going short there, I'm looking for the daily lower high. Again, this is a big enough pullback. And obviously it's different time frames, different mindset. But I have conviction that a daily lower high is the most likely scenario because of the size of that pullback. So as soon as the low of Friday breaks on Saturday, the mindset, the statement is, that's the daily lower high or I'm wrong. And I use 18.5 as a swing stop. 4-hour EMA 12 is a decent little guide there. But yeah, in terms of a day trade, aggressive bear, resistance rejection. Like buttons are appreciated. Just made a post on social media. When I'm on Facebook or wherever I'm on, if my friend is posting anything about their company or business, anything about an offering, anything about a question, hey, where can I get mulch, whatever, click the like button. They're your friends. The whole point is if you click the like button, you get engagement, and then their post gets put in front of more eyes. Well, why are we on social media if we're not taking literally 2 seconds to help our friends? And I'm not referring to me. I'll be your friend, and I'll like it if you click like. But you're real friends. Come on. You don't have to like the thing. My friend is posting about looking for a chiropractor for his business to whatever. I don't need a chiropractor. I don't know anything about chiropractors. I click the like button so other people see his post. All right. Thanks, Ryan. Crypto Princess. Sounds fancy. Good day. Caspa. So weekly consolidation underway. Again, if anything's going to shift here, we now have to set a weekly high or low compared to 1-1, 0-1-1, and then we got to break the weekly low or high. Right now, we're at a point in these altcoins. Is there anything different from the last 6 months of trading? No. The burden is on bulls to prove to us on weekly timeframes that something is different. You have a few coins like Fartcoin did something on the weekly that told us that this is different than what we've been seeing. But a name like this, I did the wrong one. I'm still going to use it as a lesson. A name like this weekly chart, nothing is changing. It's following the same pattern of weekly lower highs and a clear downtrend. So you just got to stay skeptical. What is telling us that this time is going to be different? At this point in time, there is nothing telling us that this time is going to be different. Oh, I guess it is the right one. Caspa is Casta? Why would they do that? That's so confusing. Caspa. All right, I'm confused. Casta. Cas. Thoughts on EOS rebranding? I don't have any thoughts. Honestly, I have zero fundamental prowess in the altcoin space. Admittedly, it is not a part of my game. That doesn't mean I can't make money in altcoins. But yeah, I'm not the fundamental guy. Thanks, Lock Doctor. Glad you're learning. Kekius? Ugh. Key support test. You gotta hold this zone. If you don't hold this zone, we're going back to the lows. Hear that frog? It's my favorite kind of frog. It just started again. Weekly. Gotta change the trend. I mean, you could say we already did, actually. You could call this a trend change. So anything above 11.7 is a weekly. You gotta set that weekly high or low soon here. This was a rising wedge as well. When do you scout a rising wedge? Bull break straight into consolidation. Bull break straight into consolidation. More of a channel than a wedge. Could draw it either way. Channel better. I'd be drawing that channel. Nature content's been going at the end of the broader market videos the whole time. Yard stuff, spring stuff. I can't put stuff at the end of a live stream in any easy way. And also on social media, I'll post little clips of stuff. Twitter. Lower lows with no follow through after a big bull move means keep an eye out for a bull flag. Yes. Trying to think if I have any examples off the top of my head. We're obviously not in bull flag territory on many things. Let's go way back. So this is ARM. It only had one bear break. I was thinking of this bull flag that we were watching way back in the day. And the low of consolidation was 60.79. Held it by a penny, broke it by a few pennies, zero follow through. So that's only one bear break with zero follow through. The more you have, the more confident you become. Man, we broke support twice, 3 times now with zero follow through. One time, it's worth making note of for sure. But ideally, you get a couple in there. See if gold's giving us any. So again, just an example here. So here's your gold support, couple levels there. You break it. The break lasts one candle, one day into a bounce. And then you break it and it lasts one day into a bit of a bounce, break it, zero. So that's a good example. And oftentimes, let's get meta, you get falling wedges on a short-term time frame is a bull flag on a longer-term time frame. So this on gold was a 4-hour falling wedge. Stop. Gold was a 4-hour falling wedge. Where was I just on that chart? Not there. All right, this is the last lesson here. Throwing myself off with the time frames. I was probably just on the weekly, huh? I lost it. 2277. Nope, not there. Lost it. But yeah, short-term falling wedge can be a longer-term bull flag. Thanks for the like, Gary. Those tests then prove it as support. Yeah, well, it shows you oftentimes, you get information. Let's say I'm bullish. I get information from the bulls when we break resistance, when we see 5-minute back burners, when we see increasing bull volume on resistance breaks. But I can get information as a bull not only by what the bulls are doing, but what the bears fail to do. And this is a concept that Lamont talks a lot about using volume profile analysis. And so bears failing to follow through. You know, you break a short-term support, you expect some follow through, especially when it's everybody seeing it. Like it's a clear level that everybody's looking at and it breaks with zero follow through. That stands out even more. So bears failing can be good information for a bull just as much as bulls proving something. Trying to find an example on Bitcoin where it was just everybody was watching the support level, it broke, and we had zero follow through. Not much recently. Anyways, it's called a lack of acceptance. You dip below a key level and you pop right back above it. There's a lack of acceptance under that price. It means that the bulls are more than willing to bid that level and buy those breaks. Thanks for the help, Gary, but we're giving up. All right, 67 likes, still whack, but hopefully you'll click on your friend's stuff more. Hope you're well, do good things. Keep an eye out on those potential head and shoulders. If we bounce and set daily lower highs, well, I mean, FOMC reaction is definitely going to play a big part as to whether or not we do roll over into weekly consolidation. But again, in my opinion, we do need more weakness than this in the NASDAQ and S&P 500 if we're going to see all of crypto getting that weekly consolidation. Check out the free trial. See you soon.